Hi, good evening. Welcome to Off the Cuff here on MX24. This is the ultimate sports program. We look at everything that has to do with the results, not just the results, and what a weekend it has been. Crazy weekend results means that it's been a bad result for the Panthers, but if you're neutral, you probably enjoyed all the scores from over the weekend. We'll be taking a detailed look as to what happened and why some of the scores stand out the way they did. Ghana's latest attempt to win a world title ended in the third round. Duke Akonnor More went up against his Filipino opponent, Casemiro, and he got knocked out. We will look at how that happened and what it means for Ghana's prospects in terms of getting another world title. Another Black Star squad has been named. Ghana is looking at playing for the very first time since November 2019. What hasn't changed, though, is the usual controversy that surrounds the naming of a Black Star squad. So who is on there, who is not on there, and who are the controversial ones? We'll be looking at all that tonight here on Off the Cuff. And then, of course, there's a lot to talk about. The NBA final is inching closer and closer. The LA Lakers will definitely be there. The Miami Heat are one game up against the Boston Celtics. The question is, can they clinch the series and get that final against the LA Lakers? We'll look at that. We'll look at some motorsports, some French Open tennis results. Plus, I'm expecting that you'll be sharing your thoughts with us. We have a WhatsApp line that is 0592 896001. That is 0592 896001. Welcome to Off the Cuff. We have 60 minutes of fun ahead of us. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Off the Cuff. Still ahead, we'll take a journey to Europe and other parts of the world to look at the biggest football stories. And then we'll be in the United States of America to talk about the defeat by Ghana's Duke More in his bid to win the WBO bantamweight title. For now, though, let's start with some local stories. And the biggest story this weekend is the naming of the Black Stars squad as Ghana prepares to get into a competitive mode. The Black Stars are lining up a game against Mali, and then afterwards we'll see if they can play the resumption of the African Nations Cup qualifier. Let me not get ahead of myself. First, though, let me introduce my guest in the studio. Yao Ben is very familiar. He was here last week. Hi, Yao.
Hi, Samir.
And is this your first time here?
Yes, first time.
Okay, it is. My good friend Jerome. Yes. Hi, Jerome.
Yeah, hi.
Good to have you here.
Sure, thanks.
We'll also be talking just briefly about the announcement by the Ghana Football Association, and we broke that news also here on the show last week, that football will be returning on the 13th of November. In these unusual times, it's easier said than done. We'll be trying to find out what arrangements have been put in place to ensure the safety of the players and indeed everybody else who will be working in connection with the Ghana Premier League. Welcome again. Join us via WhatsApp. The WhatsApp line is 0592 896001. 0592 896001. We'll be very happy to read your thoughts. You can also tweet at me at Sammy Bartels on Twitter, and I'll be very happy to share your views with the rest of the world. Gentlemen, you are welcome again.
Yeah, thank you.
So, the last time Ghana played was in November 2019. Wow. Do you miss football?
I do. I mean, apart from the other things I do, football is about the most, should I say, the biggest thing I'm involved.
Yeah.
So if on a daily basis you are writing on football, you are talking about football, and now for how many months, 6 months or 7 months, you have not had a chance of feeling or being a part of this activity because it is not even there. Definitely, you will miss it.
Yeah, he's biased. He's very much involved in local football. So I want to ask him the next question I'm about to ask. Which one excites you more? The fact that local football is returning or the Black Stars are going to play for the very first time under CK Akonnor, who has had to wait months for the opportunity to coach a Black Stars team on the field?
Yeah, I think both excite me. I mean, the local football coming back is good because we've been too stagnant. There's no development, and we need to get back. As the president said, we need to learn to live with the disease. So we are going to learn how to live, and it's good because the clubs have also been camping players, buying players, and there's a lot of income leakage there. So they need to play and get some money.
That's true. People's livelihood are at stake.
Yeah.
We are going to start with the national team. CK Akonnor has been waiting months for this opportunity to name a Black Star squad and to take them out on the field. He finally got that opportunity to name a Black Star squad. Not without controversy. There are up to about 5 players who are making their debuts in this Black Star squad. Some names that people are familiar with are not in that list. People expected certain other names to be on the list. They are not on that list. Before we look at that list, let's hear what the Black Stars coach, CK Akonnor, said in defense of the choices he made in naming the squad.
With Lumo, when we had a chance to play South Africa early this year, he was invited, but he got injured, and now he's back, he's fit, and that is why I thought it's necessary to bring him on board. Yakubu is a new guy, known in this country. He's played very well through the ranks of Aduana, and now in Azam, he's doing well. He's the captain of the team. His situation is exceptional because he could play a lot of different positions, holding midfield and of course right back, but his main position is the centre back. But we want to have a chance to have a look at him in different areas of the game. I'm personally excited about him because Chiku, at a point in time, we were not sure if he really wants to come. He didn't have a problem of switching nationality, but the decision to come to play, and now he's decided to come, and so I'm very much excited about him. He's not only a centre back, but he's also as well can play a holding, depending on what area you want to go. In terms of when you go on away matches, if you want to be more defensive, it's a choice, you know. But he brings a lot of experience. I saw him in Strasbourg when I went to Europe to watch them, and he was really good. So I'm personally happy he's coming. Well, you rightly said it right. After he came to play, I think we didn't see much of him. Now he's proven himself good. He was once with a new club. Now he's moved to Besiktas, which tells the story, or the story about him. And I've seen him on several occasions. I've watched him closely. And he's one of the guys, we give him the necessary confidence, he can bring a change into the way we go forward. His style of play, the way he plays, the way he controls the game. I personally want to control the game in terms of possession, and him, Pate, and the rest are there to do that job. And I think it's a big chance for him, to come and play and do well and stay. Not this time, he will go.
Great. Well, that's a man with a big job, a big task ahead of him, defending his choice of players in a 23-man squad that he named. Well, latest news we have is that Alexander Jiku might not be able to join. He's still being assessed. He hobbled out of the match that his club played in the Liga over this weekend. The other player who might not be able to make the trip, still under assessment, is a player everybody is familiar with because we saw that in the Crystal Palace match. He had an injury. Yeah. So Schlupp is still under consideration. By and large, though, do you have any problem with the squad?
Not at all. I mean, I have a principle with national teams and how our coaches go
Which
about
is what?
It, which is that it is always going to be about their preferences and not so much about what the public wants or what the public thinks. It is always going to be about what they see, how they feel about those players. And no matter how you stretch them, no matter the questions you ask, they will find justifications for it. And I think that's what we just saw in the video. I'm not faulting him for explaining his choices. I'm only saying that that is always going to be the natural thing. And for me, unless there are extraordinary cases of players that I feel as a matter of fact should be part of the team, I really do not want talking about coaches and their choices. And in this particular case where all over the world football has not been seen, I mean, we've not been playing, it makes the choices of the coach much easier because then there is very little to choose from. So whatever he presents, there's a tendency that we will take it. And that is the only thing I would say. Maybe the other thing would be the local boys, because the last time there was so much talk about the fact that he included 2 or 3 boys and rationalized why others were not even taken. Others that people thought were better were not even taken. But this time, football being absent on the local scene,
he has an excuse, inactivity.
Exactly.
So that's straightforward for him.
Yes.
He mentions extraordinary omissions. Is there anybody who should be on this list who is not there?
Well, I think I tend to side with Jerome. I do not see any extraordinary omissions. And for some of the players, it's time we had to retire them. I mean, people like John Boy, people like Jonathan Mensah. Even
because the boy there, you know, after the PSG game,
yeah, but
they got a lot of
34. You know, you need to move on. If you look at the way Germany has done it, it got to a time where Germany took a decision that look, Thomas Muller, Jerome Boateng,
they brought them back based on form.
No, but
Muller's back in the German national team.
What I'm saying is, if you look at it, we need to move forward. For CK, he needs to build a team. So to bring people like Jiku, new boys in, it's good, and it's a friendly. This is not the main game. This is a friendly. He needs to try people out. He knows if you call Dede, you call Andrea, Jordan, you know what they are bringing.
Yeah.
You know John Boy, even if he doesn't play this time, you know what John Boy brings. But you need to try the other boys. So I like the fact that he's bringing in some boys. So I don't see any extraordinary.
Let me put things in context. The last time we played in November, we played South Africa, we played Sao Tome. A very difficult game, we won by a goal to nil. Let me just mention a few names who are in that squad, who are not in this squad. Wakasu was in that squad. Andy Yadom was in that squad.
He's injured.
Yes, but Afo Harrison was in that squad. Yeah. Mohamed Salisu was in that squad. There was Chris Entry Ejay, who plays for Paderborn in Germany, who was named in that squad. Duncan was in that squad, not the assistant coach, the footballer Alfred Duncan. And then Emmanuel Boateng was in that squad as well. So,
you know what I think? And for me, it's straightforward. Akonnor then was assistant to then head coach Kwesi Appiah.
Yeah.
The arrangement is that it is possible he then being assistant really didn't have influence in who should be called.
Yeah.
So now he's the man in the saddle. I mean, the big man sitting behind the seat and saying that these are who I want. So yes, you make a very good case of who was there and who is not here now. But clearly, once the technical directorship or is it the head coach has changed, you definitely have the new person seeing things differently. Especially when there has been no football too.
Yeah.
It's difficult to, for instance, call Wakasu. I mean, you might say there's one player in there who is unattached, but he's still there. But the question to ask is...
that Bellora issue. Let's tackle it.
Well, I don't know. For me,
who was the last unattached player to be invited to the Blackstars?
You know,
quite a while since.
Yeah, but I was trying to say that initially I was thinking...
Actually, he's taking Felix's position.
Yeah,
the last time Felix was the one.
Yeah,
Felix
when the list came out, the first thing I said was, no, you cannot call a player who's not attached. But I was trying to look at cases elsewhere.
It's happened.
And I found the Brazilian goalkeeper, the former Brazilian goalkeeper, Tafarel.
Yeah, Tafarel.
USA 94. It was one of the cases I found. And I found it to be extraordinary.
No, but let's come home to Ghana.
No, I'm just saying that if there was a situation like that, and Tafarel more or less turned out to be a hero at the World Cup because they won. I mean, he saved penalties and
you know, it was Roger Miller who didn't play for any good club in 1990. So the president brought him.
So there are examples to show that even if players are not attached, but they have a certain quality that the coach feels they can add to the team, why not? Give them the chance.
I'm just thinking maybe CK there was a depth of goalkeepers he couldn't get any because I honestly don't see why.
Normally, they would reserve that final slot for a local goalkeeper.
Well, Felix has not been playing for Kotoko, so
unattached.
They're unattached.
So between unattached and inactive,
or he probably would have taken the Haas. Could have taken the Haas.
Yeah, the Haas, Richard Atta, very good goalkeeper. In fact, I would have taken him.
The last time he gave him a shot in the team.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking about the fact that he deserved it.
That guy's good.
Annan has been off. He's had his own problems at Kotoko and all that. So I don't find too much problems with that because, I mean, like you said, this is a friendly game.
You're both, okay, you're saying, let the man be. This is his best. Let the man be. So then let's be forward looking. Are you excited about the proper start of CK's tenure now? I remember the last Kwesi Appiah 2.0, he started, scouted expansively young players. It all ended up in disaster in Egypt. How excited are you about this whole journey and what are expectations concerning?
Well, for me, what I'm excited more is the new crop of players that are coming up, Ghanaian players who are coming. I mean, if you look at someone like Kudus and what he's doing at Ajax, even playing in a new role, You look at Salisu has moved to Southampton. All the reviews about him, if he sorts his fitness out. You see Amate coming back today, and you see what he did today. I mean, after 2 years, I was so excited about it. So it's the players that are coming up. I mean, you see the boy at Mallorca, Juice Baba. So there's some good quality players that are coming in beyond the normal names we had, the Wakasos, the Achus. So
it's time to move on.
It's time to move on. I mean, for me, some players have to move away and let the young boys take over.
Job,
the moving on part, as I have seen with our players, is always going to bring up some emotions.
Yeah.
Especially within the public.
Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's something that footballers should always psych themselves up for.
Here in Ghana, they say people retire you with their words.
No, but
they call you veteran.
Yeah, but they need to see it coming. Like you said, boy is 34.
34.
Even though I feel 34, that there have been players who are 34, I mean, have been good.
But can still deliver.
Yes.
Bring them in for the experience.
Yeah, but it is something that our players should understand, that there comes a time in your career where national team call-ups will not come.
One of the facts I found quite astounding, 2009 squad, apart from the captain.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty much gone.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah.
In 10 short years, their careers ended.
So
when they were supposed to be at their peaks,
exactly
30 years of age. I mean, roughly, they're all supposed to be around 30 years.
I mean, we know why. I mean, maybe this is not a platform. This is not a time to go into that. But we know one of the things we have always spoken about is their ages.
But how about career choices?
That's also a factor. But
somebody went to AC Milan. Yeah. Somebody got banned for a long period.
All of that culminate into this. I think, yes, choices they make may not be the best, but it's also all about who is managing them.
Yeah.
How deep are those people in the business of helping players choose clubs?
Does it help Akonnor that the Nations Cup has been pushed back?
I think so.
In terms of his rebuilding?
Yeah, it does. It does, because, I mean, there's no football activity.
Yeah.
You have time to watch players, especially those whose leagues are in session.
Because we'd have been playing in 4 months.
Yeah.
AFCON.
We would have been ready.
In fact, we would have by now known whether or not we are, I mean, Akonnor is good enough to give us something in the next few years. Because then we would have played South Africa, we would have played Sudan.
Yeah.
We would have played at least 3 or 4 matches by now.
Yeah.
Final take on this matter. And I'll come to you because we've had serious discussions on different platforms about this. How does Akonnor deal with expectations? 1, expectations from the fans. 2, expectations from the people who pay him. Because one of our peers' undoing was the promises that were made by politicians, by the Ghana Football Association. And he never countered it to say, look, the team is not ready yet. Those same expectations will be affixed to CK Akonnor. How does he deal with that?
He can't. I mean, he has to do his job.
But you have to speak up as well.
Because you see, the fact of the matter is we have, since 1982, not won a Nations Cup. Okay. Ghanaians are yearning for it. So there's nothing you can do about it. What he has to do is concentrate on the job. Forget what everybody is saying. Do your job. Once he does a good job, it will reflect. I mean, he should forget about managing expectations, saying we are not ready. He should just do his job. Because at the end of the day, we need him to do it.
But that's what happened to Apia. I remember you after Nations Cup sitting there and saying, look, people said you were going to win the Nations Cup. He never said, look, my team, let's take it one step at a time. How does he manage his expectations?
I think Akonnor has to be realistic. I mean, Yao just said, and I agree with him, that if you look at this, even though it's for a friendly game, it looks like he has the mindset of a coach who wants to build a team.
He wants to rebuild the Black Stars.
So, and the AFCON is in 2022, right?
Yeah.
So if you have roughly, say, 18 months to such a competition, and people come up to say, we're going to win it for the first time in 30-something years, you as coach, knowing the strength of your team, should be able to assess and tell the public that, look, given what we have, I don't think, yes, the ultimate is to win, but let's also be realistic. Akonnor's approach should be sticking to what he sees and finding a decent way of communicating to the public. I say decent because you cannot also come and dash hopes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
The Zambian team that won the 2012 AFCON,
Yeah.
I'm not sure they were so confident of coming to win the competition.
Yeah.
In fact, they didn't say they were coming to win.
Of course, but when they got to the semis,
Charlie.
and particularly after beating Ghana,
And after summoning the spirit of 93.
it was very clear.
Yeah.
So and look at the Kwesi Appiah team
Yeah.
of 2013.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the best squad we have had.
But they got to the final.
But they could have won it.
Exactly.
Could have won
So the point I'm making is, don't dash hopes because you don't have a complete, perfect team. But then also be realistic, so that fans will not come at you when you don't win.
All right, one step at a time. Keep your WhatsApp messages coming. The WhatsApp line is 0592896001. Who is in that squad that you think should not be there? Or who is not there, who should be there? This is Appiah's first match, CK Akonnor's first match. I'm going to switch sports very quickly. Over the weekend, Ghana had high hopes that Duke Akonnor was going to win another world title for Ghana at the bantamweight division. I can tell you that it's one of the best divisions at the moment with some of the most enterprising boxers. He went up against Real Casemiro and he went to war, and in 3 rounds it was all over. His legs were gone. First he was dropped on the temples with a hook, and then he was dropped with an uppercut, and it was all over. Let's see how that happened. And I'm going to go to the United States of America and speak to former world champion Joshua Clottey, and I'll take his opinion on how that fight went, what Duke didn't do right, and how he can bounce back in his division. I think I should have Clottey on the line, so let's have that conversation first before we see how it went. Joshua, good evening. Hello, Joshua. So Joshua Clottey, during his fighting career, was champion in the welterweight division, and he fought against some of the biggest fighters in the world. He fought against Miguel Cotto, and he had the opportunity to fight against Manny Pacquiao as well. So in terms of Ghanaian boxers who have fought at the elite level, he's one of those, and he's best placed to tell us about that defeat by Duke Akonnor over the weekend. He watched the fight as well in the United States. He can also tell us what sort of things that people within the boxing fraternity are saying concerning the prospects of Duke, who went into that fight undefeated. Okay, Joshua, I think Joshua is on now. Hi, Joshua, if you can hear me. Hello. It must be, what, afternoon in the US? Good afternoon to you. Ah, yes. Champ, good afternoon. In terms of US, it's good evening here in Ghana. All right, I think he should. We are working on the audio and he will join me. But yeah, you follow boxing and you saw this fight between Duke Akonnor and Casemiro over the weekend. You were telling me about it. What did you make? So this was a fight. Duke went into the fight undefeated. And you see, the thing that happened with Duke is that he went and he was not afraid to trade with him, stood in the ring and traded with this guy who is explosive, has got one of the fastest hands and biggest punches in the bantamweight division. And they traded for 3 rounds and he came off west.
You know, I saw a headline which said Casemiro took advantage of a lack of boxing wisdom.
I was gonna
From Micah.
You were finished.
I mean, you see, you're a young chap going into a fight against a very experienced guy. You, first of all, you have to go with a certain level of humility.
Yeah.
And when you listen to the interviews of Jamaica before, it was like it was a done deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to respect your opponent and make sure that you have something up your sleeves. And he got dropped in 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
It wasn't even close. The first round, there was nothing about Duke that
the guy
convinced you.
unloaded a lot of body shots.
Yes, because clearly, and you see sometimes also a lack of proper coaching. And that's the problem I have with Ghanaian boxing, is that the coaching is not right. And we don't prepare well. Because clearly you could have seen Casemiro, you knew that was his strength. He is very quick, he would give a lot of body shots, weaken you, and then when you lose your guard, he would then drop the uppercut. And that's the same formula he used on Duke Micah.
So this was the first blow that leveled him. This was on the temple whilst he was retreating. And then in round 3, and so you see, you won't get this with a fighter like Floyd Mayweather, because the thing about boxing is you don't want to get hit and then you hit your opponent. But when you go in there for an absolute slug fest, I expect the worst.
I don't have enough knowledge of boxing tactics. all the techniques involved. But two things you have said. The opponent is explosive with his punches and all that. So when I was talking, the thing that rushed to my mind is, what did his corner or the...
What was the strategy?
Yes, what did they see? Because clearly, from all I've seen from the Azuma Nelson days as a small boy, two things come to mind when it comes to boxing. It's about the boxer in the ring and what the coaching team is seeing. So that if the guy's strength is not up to the opponent, the coaching team must see it and then begin to guide. You mentioned Mayweather. You mentioned him because, Mayweather will not go in like that.
No way. No.
I mean, look at the fight he had with that Filipino.
Pacquiao.
Me being a Pacquiao fan, I was upset. because you need to stand and let's box. but I mean, he came in with that strategy, knowing very well that, look, if I do the opposite, I might not get what I want. So this is what will help me. So my point is, yes, 3 rounds, I mean, he got knocked down. But what was the strategy for them? To go in and just box or what?
Well, as I was mentioning, the bantamweight division is very, very competitive. So you have John Real Casemiro, who has a WBO title. The guy that everybody fears is called Inoue. They call him the monster. He's a Japanese fighter. They are trying to make up a fight. So it means Duke, who is a former Olympian, again has to improve his ring IQ and find a way to bounce back. Because when next he has a title shot, there's a reason why the other guy is the champion and holds the title. Perhaps he will learn from this and Ghana will have another opportunity of winning a world title. Let me go for my second break. We'll come back. There's more to talk about, including a reflection on the scores from over the weekend. Just before we came on air, Barca were playing, Roma was playing Juventus. There's a lot to talk about from the weekend. Stay tuned. This is Off the Cuff here on MX24. This is Off the Cuff here on MX24. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Just before we went for the break, we're having a discussion about Duke Akonnor and his loss to John Real Casemiro over the weekend for the WBO bantamweight title. I promised you we were going to speak to former world champion Joshua Clottey, who is on the line all the way from the US. I'm going to connect to him now. Joshua, if you can hear me, welcome to Off the Cuff here on MX24. First of all, what were your impressions of Duke's performance and why do you think he lost?
Well, I think he did well, but it's not enough because this is a big chance for him to present himself to the world. But I think he fell short. So we just have to, motivate him for better luck next time.
Champ, when you went into your first world title fight, how did you approach it? Because what we saw was that Duke went into the middle of the ring and traded for 3 rounds, and he couldn't stand the body shots.
Yeah, well, I think if you're approaching your first world title fight, I think it's best for you to win it because it brings you to the world, and the world will get to know you. But even if you're gonna lose, you don't have to lose by knockout. But he lost the fight on knockout. That was the saddest part of his chance. And I think they train a lot because they have a good trainer. But I don't know why they fell short because they are the same trainer with what do you call him? With Anthony. So I'm kind of surprised because that trainer is a very good trainer. I don't know. I can't talk for the boxers, but I think they should have done it because going for your first world title fight that you're gonna lose by knockout sometimes it could a lot of things in you. I think he did well, but just it's not enough.
Just finally, you are in the US. There are quite a number of young Ghanaian boxers in the US trying to win world titles. There are a few of them who are having some difficulties. what do you think the prospects are for Ghana? Do you think we'll be getting any more such opportunities? And who for you are the boxers who possibly could win world titles in the next 2 years?
Well, I think there are better boxers out there that those that we don't even trust, we don't believe. They are those that they can be a champion. But I let me tell you something about these Ghanaian boxers. As soon as they get to US, they started fighting, they started making dollars. They forget to ask questions. They forget to ask advice from the maybe the senior ones. Sometimes if you're calling them to motivate them, they don't even pick up their calls. You can send them a message, they don't even reply you. Because they feel like because they have won maybe 10 fight, 15 fight, 20 fight, they are top of the world. Sometimes you need to ask the senior ones because listen, I fought with Davida for a title. Davida was a former undisputed and he won title in 3 weight categories. But unfortunately, I beat him, I won the title. So I think most of them, they have to ask questions. I mean, if they don't even understand certain things, they can call the senior ones if they have no explanation. Ask them questions. Sometimes, if you call me, when talking to you will motivate you for the fight. But normally, they don't really do that. Sometimes, even if they call you to give them a little bit of advice, they don't really pick up their calls. And because they feel like they are on top of the world because they have won a couple of fights. So that's when you get to the level of this championship, that is where you announce your name. And most times they feel it's kind of very sad, but you know, it is what it is. I think there are a couple of guys there that they can be a champions. Just that I can't mention, but there are a couple of guys there.
All right. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Joshua, and I wish you all the best. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much.
So that was Joshua Clottey, former world champion in the welterweight division. And as he mentioned, he fought Zab Judah. He had the opportunity to also fight Pacquiao, who is still very active, and had the opportunity to also fight Miguel Cotto. So he's been there. He's done it all. He says, Charlie, the small boys are not talking to the senior.
No, but it's very profound. It's
a
very
cross-sports, isn't it?
So I think that maybe the GBA have to find a way of connecting them.
Some mentorship program.
Because you see, clearly, they need some level of experience, somebody to guide them. Yeah. You might have the talent, but these guys have seen it, done it before. So they could tell you, do this, do this, do this, do this. So if the GBA is listening, I think that they need to try and connect the boys, the aspiring guys, to the older ones, the ones who've done it before. Because
it doesn't matter what coaches tell you.
The Azumas.
You have to hear from the guy who has been in your position before.
Okay, yeah. Otherwise, I mean, how do you progress? You know, there's something he said that if it's your first world title fight, you must win it.
Yeah.
Because it brings you to the world.
Yeah.
For me, that alone, it's something that the athlete should understand, even before he gets into the field or the ring in this particular case. Because exactly what do you want to achieve?
Yeah.
You want to fight to win. And that understanding that this is a big step, let me take it and grab it so that the world will see me, like he said. It's something that is missing with a lot of our athletes.
Even footballers. You know, the old guys are always complaining that the young guys don't listen to them.
It's
I advised them. They said, "Oh,
it's got to do with the kind of generation they were, how they lived, how they saw things, and the kind of generation we find ourselves in, how we also see things and understand. But it's always good to take good counsel, especially from those who have done it before.
Yeah.
Because they have been there, they've seen it, and they can best advise.
Look, we wish Duka Kwete Micah all the best. I am of the view that he will bounce back with experience. This is the first loss, take it on your chin, literally speaking, and then recover. This guy is a great boxer. And I'm sure Duke will get a shot. And when he does get his shot next time, he won't repeat the mistakes that he made in this fight. Let's switch sports from boxing. Let's go back to football. And this time, not local football, but international football. Let's start looking at the leagues. And where better to start than the English Premier League over the weekend. We're coming off a previous weekend where there were 44 goals in that particular round of matches. And we thought, well, it can't continue. This weekend will be any different. And this weekend has been different in some respects. primarily because of the shocks. So let's start looking at the results. Biggest shock has to be Leicester beating City by 5-2.
It's not something you would even want to predict.
How did that happen?
I don't know. You. This is not something you would want to even think of.
Purple.
Yeah, especially looking at last season, the shine. Even though Liverpool took everything away, you would want to say that City won't go down like this. I think it happens in football. One of those surprises that you least think of, but then if you leave everything to you
Is it the strength of Leicester, Yao, or the deficiencies of City, especially in their regard?
I think that first of all, we have to give Brendan Rodgers credit. He outcoached Pep today. He brought in a surprise. He went 3 back, unusual of him. And the way his team played was, and then City have their deficiencies. I mean, they are in the market looking for another defender, Ruben Diaz, because Eric Garcia looked like he hasn't recovered from that blow to his head. The way he was defending today.
The check blow.
And Pep made a big error today by taking off Fernandinho. Because as soon as he took Fernandinho off, the goal started going through. So he lost that cover. And Brendan took advantage of it beautifully.
A player that people like to underestimate. I mean, for the last 5 years, people have been saying every year that, oh, this guy, he'll disappear very soon. But Jamie Vardy has been there. And he's been consistent.
It's got to do with the strength. I mean, the inner strength that I have it anytime I feel that I'll do it.
Charlie, consistently, the guy does it. He stayed at Leicester. People thought, around this time he would disappear. And as we have seen with certain other players, but he's still doing it. Top scorer last season.
Yeah.
Now he's joined top scorer after 3 matches in the Premier League.
For us fans and pundits, we will always have our view.
Yeah.
But then those in the heat of events, the coaches and the players know what is in them, and they will deliver. For us, it's about what we see and what we want to say.
Chaya, what do you make of Amate's performance today? Also surprising inclusion. His first match since 2018.
I watched him during the League Cup. He wasn't too good. He was playing a right back, and for Arsenal's second goal, I felt he made Nketiah bully him to score the second. So I was a bit disappointed that your first game back, I mean, at least show something so the coach will have trust. But clearly, maybe he's been doing something in training.
Yeah.
And today, for him to be in a 3-back, because that's his position.
Yeah.
He's not a right back. I mean, he can deputize there, but he's not. He needs to play centre half. When they started the season and Ndidi was playing as centre half and Amate was on it, I didn't understand it, but Ndidi got injured and Amate is back. And at least today will give him the confidence that he can then kick on and make a claim for the centre back position.
So hopefully he can hold down that position and then be consistent for Leicester. If this was a big surprise, I guess the competing surprise was that game between West Bromwich Albion and Chelsea.
Chelsea still have
3-0
problems
at halftime.
Yeah, and at that point I left the game.
Oh,
only to see.
This one.
I mean, only to see the final result 3-3, and you would think that Chelsea fans would accept this. But no way, because, I mean, it clearly gives you the indication that things are still not good.
The problem wasn't with Kepa.
No, this time it wasn't.
I was saying on a different platform that someone has tracked Lampard's defenses from Derby County to Chelsea. And the conclusion appears to be that Lampard teams concede more goals than usual.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely down to the goalkeeper.
No,
it's how he sets up his defense.
He sets up. You see, I was lambasting Mourinho. He didn't even defend, he didn't even Ole Gunnar. So the defending itself is an art. Yeah. And how you set your team in possession and out of possession is important. Clearly, Lampard, there's something lacking. And maybe he needs to get help from Jody Morris or whoever, because his teams are conceding too many goals. Last season they were the third worst defense in the EPL, and today they've started this season like that. I mean, they like the number 3, so maybe they are conceding 3 goals.
Here's a paradox: it was the academy boys who bailed him out, despite all the spending.
Callum, Martin Odoi, Tammy Abraham. But Thiago, we need to talk about Thiago.
Let's talk about Thiago Silva. Supposed to be the magic bullet. I said he was supposed to come in as a defensive coach on the pitch.
It was a baptism of fire for him. Clearly, he hasn't caught up with the speed of the EPL, and he made an error for the second goal. But I think he will come good. I mean, he's an experienced player.
You think he'll start the next game?
Oh, he should. I mean, he was made captain for a reason. It wasn't just for his debut to be made captain. Lampard trusts him a lot, and defenders make mistakes. I watched Nemanja Vidić's first game for and Patrice Evra.
Yeah.
They looked like they had skating boots on. They were all over the place, but they ended up being one of the best defenders in the EPL in time. So it's just a baptism of fire. He'll get.
So
to
here, Slaven Bilic
Yeah.
was coaching remotely and still managed to get this great results. Two more things in the English Premier League. Let's talk about the other team that got out of jail, Manchester United. The controversy around the VAR decision. And, you know, funny enough, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Mourinho are having a go at each other. Ole said, Mourinho wasn't here to measure the post. Mourinho says, well, Ole would wish that the penalty box is not 18 yards, but it's 22 yards, referring to the fact that Man United gets penalties.
It's strange how Man U continues to get penalties, which more or less bail them out of situations.
But if it's a penalty, it's a penalty.
Yeah, but this one
was a penalty.
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm only saying that it is very strange. It reminds me of a situation in Ghana where, I mean, one club keeps getting penalties and you want to wonder what is exactly with them that they will always get a penalty to get out of situations. But, you know, the VAR, for me, still is creating controversies which referees previously were accused of. I don't think the VAR is being used, in my view, especially in the EPL.
Are you sure Ghana is ready for it? If this had happened, final whistle, then they review.
We are not.
But, you know, we talked about this here, and we said it's all about education.
Yeah,
it's education.
I mean, assuming this was a Kotoko match, the other team, you know, final whistle, they said the other team got some penalty.
There will be a problem. I think with us, like Yao said, maybe it's with education, but there are more pressing things with our game we have to sort out than thinking of implementing VAR. I mean, bringing VAR into our game.
Speaking of VAR, just one final issue on this new handball rule.
It's not new.
On this, no. I mean, so IFAB, this is strict liability.
Yeah.
Discretion is very minimal. And I have a feeling when we start our league, the same law applies to us as well.
You know, I have always said this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have always said that if I'm a referee, if the rule gives me that liberty to give a penalty once it's a handball, I will always
give it. So you don't have a problem with that?
Yes, it's the easiest of penalty decisions to give.
You know why people are complaining? Because you see, if you watch last season, in Europe, they were applying this rule to the letter. EPL were not, and IFAB and FIFA told them that they have to apply.
Yeah.
Last season, I was looking at the Italian Serie A, 57 handballs.
Yeah.
La Liga, 48 handball decisions.
Yeah.
So it's not new.
Because once it hits,
it's
you made your body larger.
It's a terrible law that they need to fix. But until they fix it, you don't blame the referee.
Yeah, how do you fix it? One scenario. Is it the World Cup, the France 98 or one of the World Cups? Nigeria against, is it Italy? There was a handball situation. And the slow-mo clearly shows that the player went for the arm.
Yeah.
You could see, I've forgotten the Italian player.
But Jerome, now
he lifted the ball straight into the defender's arm.
Yeah.
And the penalty was given.
So now what's going to happen now is everybody is looking for the arm. Today, if you watch the Spurs Newcastle game,
hunting,
anytime Andy Carroll got up and headed the ball, he'll raise his hand, handball.
And the latest victim was Mourinho. You know, he stomped off today.
Yeah, because
after
I listened to his interview. He said, look, he prefers to give his money
to charity and not to the FA.
And they asked him about his assistant who got a red card. He said, I'm more experienced. That's why I walked away.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I'm going for my final break. Let's off the cuff here on MX24. In the final 10 minutes, we'll wrap up and touch on a few other sports before we leave here tonight. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are in the final 5 minutes of Off the Cuff here. I've been hanging out here with Yao Obeng and then Jerome Ochre. Been speaking through football, and we've had an interview also with Joshua Clottey, former world champion, on a defeat by Duke Akwete Micah, who was attempting to win the WBO bantamweight title. In just the last few minutes, let's just run through a few of the other big stories in the other European leagues. Barcelona won by 4 goals now, but the biggest story in Spain was not Barca's 4 goals victory. It was Atletico Madrid's 6-1 victory over Granada. And the fact that Luis Suarez, who according to Messi was thrown out of Barcelona, he scored twice. He could have had a hat-trick.
His first touch was an assist. 2 goals and he was brilliant. And I was so happy watching him in Atletico because now Simone is not the ultra defensive coach anymore. It was free-flowing attack, and Atletico is one who upset a lot of teams this season.
Does it raise question about Barca's decisions?
In fact, no, I understand Barca's decision because they wanted to also reduce their wage bill.
Yeah.
Suarez is going to be 34 in January. They need to move on. There's a time. It's just the way it was done. Not whether it should have been done. It's the way it was done that was upsetting. But it makes sense if you look at the profile of the Barca players to take Vidal off your wage bill, to take Suarez. There are a lot of players are above 30.
And all of the guys had good performances. Vidal played for Inter Milan in the game against Fiorentina. It's one of the reasons why there was a turnaround together with Sanchez, and they won by 4-3. Big story in Germany was Bayern losing to Hoffenheim. I thought they were tied. Thursday night they played Super Cup. You can't keep it going for that long.
There could be no other reason apart from that. Because check from the Champions League period till the little break they had, going back to play is it a Super Cup?
Yeah,
which they won.
And after extra time.
And definitely.
No, they were dominated though.
Fatigue, fatigue
completely dominated.
Came in.
They were the investors.
It's not a surprise because you see, even the times where we find ourselves in, players have not had enough time to rest and also have the best of pre-seasons. And this was bound to happen.
They'll get the rest, they'll come back, and they'll dominate.
Dortmund will be happy because Dortmund also lost over the weekend.
Yeah, they did as well. Let me just touch on one last story. Let's go to basketball now. And if you're an ardent basketball follower, you will know that the Eastern Conference Final and the Western Conference Finals have been ongoing. We know who the winner of the Western Conference Finals is. It's the LA Lakers. Denver, who had beaten the Clippers, gave the LA Lakers no competition whatsoever. They won the series by 4-1. LeBron James says it doesn't mean anything until they clinch the job. To clinch the job, they would have to beat either of Miami Heat, who look like the most likely.
I think Miami Heat will get over the line. I mean,
or the Boston Celtics. Now, the funny story is that if LA win the title this season, they would have won 17 titles, which will tie the record which is held by the Celtics. So I think it would be appropriate if the Celtics got to the final.
No, I think even the force is with the Lakers, not because of the talent, but all the Kobe. They want to win it for Kobe.
Yeah.
And LeBron is motivated. I mean, if you look at it, he has more playoff wins than a lot of the other teams.
He holds the season record.
And anytime his teams make playoff, he always gets to the final. This guy is amazing.
The guy is a legend. He is going to be in his 10th final. But he says the record doesn't matter. What matters is that he wins that. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Jerome, let this be the first of many appearances on this show. We look forward to seeing you. And you who joined me at home, who watched this on Facebook, who watched this on Twitter, and watched this also on our channel, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back same time next week here on MX24. Have a good night and have a wonderful week.